quick disclaimer, I don't own any of the footage shown in this video. All footage is shown in this video is for review purposes only, and I do not claim to own any of them. What's up, everyone? I know I'm late with this, but without further ado, after about 2 months of waiting, let's get started with Engine Sentai Go-Onger! Ow! Ah! I fell out of my chair. Alright, let's start off with the background. We have talking cars being chased by cars driven by people and machines. There's your backstory. So we basically start 6 months in the future, where now there's a wedding going on. It gets invaded by a monster, per usual, because that's just normal nowadays. From there, we have the heroes come in, put on some spandex, and this is now in the year 2007, so, you know, spandex still works. And they fight off the monster, and that's where our story begins, basically. Anyway, from there on, we go to Monster of the Week, day by day, week by week, until finally we get the badass entries of our two twins, the 6th and 7th Rangers, Silver and Gold. God bless America! I mean Japan! Yada yada yada, we fight villains, they die, monsters happen. Point is, that's kind of the story. I'm not going to spoil the ending because if I would, I'd be kind of an asshole. Anyway, now let's move on to characters. First, we're going to start with Red, with one of my favorite names, Sasuke! And, yeah, no one's named Naruto in this series, so we can't really go anywhere else with that. He's our usual tomboy, hot-headed idiot who kind of charges into everything. So, that's basically done with that. Number 2 is Blue, who is basically kind of like the house mom of the group. It's really weird. He cooks for them, he cleans, and he always has that weird smile, and he has like a weird speech thing where he says Sue or something at the end of every sentence. We go to Green, who's was actually a pizza delivery boy, so you know he has charisma. That's all. I don't know what else to say about him. That's all I can say is charisma. Black Ranger, he was a former cop, now he's a superhero. Simple as that. Now we go to the twins for Gold and Silver, where they're badass, kind of assholes, rich, well, assholes. They're rich assholes, basically. They're kind of dicks to everyone at first. But yeah, that's kind of it. They redeem themselves later on, but they're overall rich assholes, which is good to know. Now, I think there's something I'm forgetting to mention, but, you know, I think we just forget about them. Moving on to powers. There's not really much to say. I mean, you got the classic either gun/sword thing, which in this case isn't really a sword. They have like a gas nozzle thing that's a gun, and then they can change it to like a baton smacky wacky thing that creates sparks, which I don't know how that works, but you know, plot device. They also have each their own individual weapon. Red has a sword. 2 has a giant cannon. Yellow has a zip line charger thing. Green has an axe, and of course, Black has a gun as well, a police-like gun. Which the funny thing is, it means that the girl, the sexist, it's so sexist, the girl gets the least effective weapon. Just saying. That's sexist right there. Yeah. And Gold and Silver have twin daggers that they can fly with and kill people with it. It's a very, very entertaining thing to watch them do. Anyway, each suit technically comes equipped with, for the 5 main team rangers, they each get their own, like, wheels thing spinning. You see it on their arms, like, cuffs on their arms and on their legs. And apparently it gives them, like, increased speed, and they can use it to put rubber on people's faces. That's right. Use rubber protectively to save lives. Okay, here's how we're going to cover the mechs. There are, like, 12 mechs. We have Falcon, Lion, Bear, Shark, Dog, Crocodile, Chicken, Tiger, Flying Tiger. He's a flying tiger. Giant flying whale. And then we have the dinosaur train thing. And they can all combine. We have so many combinations. We have G6, G9, G12. We have like 6 mechs or something. We have the first mech, the second mech, the 6th mech, the 4th mech. And they can also combine. It's so many mechs. So many combinations. So many combinations. Alright, there really isn't much to say about the villains. Their main goal is basically pollute the earth. And to, just pollute the earth so they can live on it. It's really not that big of a deal, or no one really cares about it. And they're kind of silly and wacky, and they're really hard to believe sometimes. And one of them is, like, human in, like, steampunk armor, which makes me believe, why is she with these guys? Because if she has human features, and which is obvious for mostly fan service for people, because it's pretty obvious that's what she's there for, wouldn't she die if the planet was polluted? Like, the other 2 guys would live and she would die. But at least later on, around, like, the end, I'm not gonna say what happens, but there was another villain, like a head honcho villain, not like a side temporary general thing, but a head honcho villain that comes in and does a lot of awesome faux shiz. He has a lot of awesome faux shiz. Overall, the effects for this season are actually pretty good. I mean, for a normal TV budget, when you're trying to do so much, it's can be hard, but I find it that they work with it really well, and, it's not, like, too overhacked or too crazy and too much CG and stuff, but I think it's good. I like it. Now, onto pros and cons. For the first one, the villains are bad. Like, we're just doing cons right away, and I'm just, like, starting off with villains are bad. They're annoying, and they don't really do much in the future. Con number 2. They were either trying or just accidentally ended up being a lot similar to Car Ranger, and we all know how that turned out. That was just not good. That just didn't seem to turn out very well for a lot of people, and that was a huge disappointment for me. Con number 3. I really didn't like the fact that, in the beginning of the series, they mentioned, oh, we have 12 dimensions in this thing, but then they never visit any of them. We get one guy from Christmas World, and then in the other movies, we actually visit Christmas World, and we end up in Western World in that one time in that Versus movie, and then we get to see it again in the Go-Onger special. That's like 4 years after it aired. What the hell? Con number 4. They make a truce with the villains. The heroes and the villains make a truce to make a pop idol group, so they can just put some interdimensional baby thing to sleep or something like that. It was bad. My final and 5th con, the soul card was not played very well. And by that I mean, like, they had souls, engine souls, all kinds of soul things, but they didn't really use much with it. They had one episode where they body swapped, and that was basically it. Well, if you're still here, and you listen through all of that, here, listen to some of the good stuff I like about this show. Now for the pros. Pro number 1. The mechs, for the first time ever in a Sentai series, talk. And they're not a religious deity or anything like that. So that's kind of nice. Pro number 2. The 6th and 7th Rangers are badass as hell. They are just awesome. Just awesome. Alright, moving on to pro number 3. The villains... No, I'm not mentioning this. Sorry. This is not going on the list. This can't go on the list. Now, here's a spoiler alert for number 5, I guess. Am I counting this as 5? No, I'm counting it as number 4. I'm going to count it as number 4. That's where we're going to do it. So, here's a little spoiler alert. If you wanted to skip through, go to number 6. So, for number 4, that the villain in the end, kills not 1, not 2, but 4. 4 of the Sentai members. And that's a kind of a nice achievement. Because... we've only seen them, like, kill 1, maybe, Ranger, and those ones, like, only the 6th, the extra, or maybe, like, one of the main team, but we never saw them kill at least up to 4. I think that was a nice achievement, and they could have a nice strength for that. Number 5. Pro number 5. It was pretty funny from time to time, I will admit. Even though it wasn't a complete imitation of Car Ranger, some of the jokes were nice when it was worked properly. And the action was pretty good for a comedic, series. Pro number 6. A member was actually a cop. I mean, I know we had, a whole Sentai of cops, but, we actually had a real guy on real law enforcement that makes sense, and he got turned superhero. I just gotta give, respect. And my final pro, number 7, that they actually were connected with their mechs. They were partners that made me feel like they had a bond, and they really didn't have much to lose. Because you've seen it, where they have their mechs in other series, and they're destroyed, and they're like, oh no, our robots, which I have no deep connection to, and we can just rebuild and stuff. In this, they were living things. You lose them, it hurts. It tugs on the heartstrings. Anyway, that's my pros and cons list. Well, my overall score for this, plus the tally for pros and cons, the overall generatus and my personal enjoyment, I give it a score of 7. And so I'll put that on the, maybe watch it, you don't really have to see it, but if you want to pick it up or take a look at it, it's not a bad watch. Anyway, I'm Otoku the Toku Otaku. Peace, puppy.